All right, listen, if you've been listening to this show like for more than a day, you already know that I am unabashedly patriotic. I believe in standing for the flag, rallying to the cause, supporting the Constitution, speaking my mind, all of which are not unknown in other places, but they are absolute rights in America. They are. I mean, think about it. What other country in the world not only allows freedom, but actually enshrines it as the basis for who we are as a nation, as a people? And I believe that the left can't stand America as it really is. The progressive left is constantly and overtly decrying anything that shares the values, traditions, and freedoms of America as an absolute. We're a nation of rough and ready, a nation of faith, and largely Christian faith at that. A nation that smirks at tyrants and faces down the bullies. But the left has done all it can over the last decade, and especially the last 4 years, to actually tear away the fabric of America and just leave the bones. I mean, the left will kneel at the anthem, burn the flag, degrade military readiness, steal our tax dollars, downgrade families, and mock our faith. But I believe that we are seeing the soul of America on the rise again. There is, in my opinion, a revival of Christianity, a restoration of values, a resurgence of patriotism. And you can feel it, right? I mean, it's almost palpable. It's almost to the point you can touch it. So today, I'm going to push the outer limits and suggest that nobody should ever underestimate the American people. Because the American spirit is a thing. It's real. And I'm going to talk about it today. And to do that, I'm going to use a modern day movie classic. Now, I've talked about this movie before, but it is so good and so on point, I can't not bring it up again because it's perfect for what I'm about to say. The movie, if you haven't seen it, you're going to have to now. The movie is Ford versus Ferrari. Now, I'm a car guy, but you don't have to love cars to love this movie because it wasn't about cars. It was about American ingenuity and American spirit and grit and the idea that you can call us whatever you want, but don't ever call us down. So the storyline in the movie was set in the early 60s, and it was all true. In 1963, Ford Motor Company was about to change the world by introducing the Mustang. But Ford Vice President Lee Iacocca, he felt like there was something missing, something flashy and fast that could win races and garner a worldwide following. So Iacocca convinced Ford President Henry Ford II that they should buy out the Italian automaker Ferrari. Ferrari had been dominating the Le Mans racing circuit with hand-built streamlined classics, and Henry Ford liked the idea, and he sent Iacocca over to Italy, where Enzo Ferrari sat sipping tea in the far end of his coachworks. Iacocca made the pitch, and Ferrari let him sit and sweat for hours. All the while, though, it turned out, Ferrari was just using Ford to get leverage with Fiat to buy him out for more money. It was a dirty trick, y'all. It was a bait and switch. But as if that were not enough, Ferrari decided he had to insult America's premier automaker directly. So once he realized he had Fiat money in his hands, he told them in a condescending tone, "You go back to Michigan. You go back to your big ugly factory, making its ugly little cars, and you tell your pig-headed boss that all his smug executives are worthless sons of whores, and you tell him he's not Henry Ford." Wow. In one fell swoop, that arrogant Italian, whose country we had just liberated from fascism 20 years before that, insulted American manufacturing capability, American style, and really American legacies. And he really insulted all of America in the process. Oh, he shouldn't ought to have done that. Because when Ford heard about it, he decided it wasn't the first time the U.S. went to war in Europe. He told Iacocca, "We're going to bury Ferrari at Le Mans." So Iacocca got the green light to build the world's fastest, most enduring race car from scratch. But to do that, he had to have a team. So Iacocca went out and hired none other than Carroll Shelby, a legendary car builder and a racer who at 22 years old had been a pilot of a B-29 Superfortress flying combat missions in World War II. And Shelby hired a guy named Ken Miles, a man who could drive like his hair was on fire, who could feel the road and smell the next gear. And Shelby was asked to come to the debut of the new Ford Mustang, and he gave a short speech. And wearing his signature cowboy hat and talking in his Texas drawl, Shelby took the stage that day and he told the world how it was going to be. I'm going to quote his speech. Here's what he said. He said, "If my daddy was here today, he'd tell me to sit on down and leave the yakking to the college boys. So like my cars, I'll make this fast. When I was 10 years old, my pop said to me, 'Son, it's a truly lucky man who knows what he wants to do in this world because that man will never work a day in his life. But there are a few,' he said, 'a precious few. And hell, I don't know if they're lucky or not, but there are a few who find something that they just have to do. Something that obsesses them. Something that if they can't do it, it's going to drive them clean out of their mind, and I'm that guy. And I know one other man,' he said, 'who feels exactly the same. His name His name is Henry Ford. And together we're going to build the fastest automobile in the world, and we're going to make history too at Le Mans. My name is Carroll Shelby. I build race cars. And brother, it was on then. Shelby and Miles and the team they put together built a legendary vehicle called the GT40. It was sleek, it was muscular, it was low and mean, it looked like it could fly. It didn't use a high-winding European engine, it carried a bulky American-built Ford V8. It was a beast of a car, but it didn't win right away. But as Henry Ford focused on the checkered flag, Carroll Shelby focused on building and sustaining a true legend on four wheels. And he told Henry Ford they might not have won right out the gate, but they scared the pants off Enzo Ferrari when that GT40 hit 218 miles per hour on the straightaway. So the story goes, and it's all true, Ford and Ferrari continued to duke it out. Ford was inching closer, but not able yet to take the flag. At one point, the American team was struggling to keep their brakes from overheating with all the power they could put to the wheels. It's called brake fade, and it was burning their brakes out. It was causing massive complications. And then Shelby and Miles, they read the race rules, and they came up with an idea that only a group of maverick Americans would ever do. They did a pit stop, and they shocked the world because they changed out their entire brake assembly in record time and moved on. Ferrari was apoplectic. He tried to complain. But as they approached the 1966 24-hour Le Mans race, Shelby had built 3 GT40s. And they were in it, man. It was a nasty race. But in Carroll Shelby's words, he said, we're lighter, we're faster, and if that don't work, we're nastier. Those 3 Ford GT40s pushed the Ferrari team all the way to their limits until the last Ferrari in the race blew up its engine trying to keep up. And the Ford team finished with all 3 GT40s taking the top 3 trophies. And Ford went on to do it again for the next 3 consecutive years. That movie, in my opinion, has America down to a T. I mean, as a people, we are not always the most refined. We got a maverick streak a mile long. Our people can get rowdy and boisterous and speak out of turn, but we're also fiercely loyal and overly determined. It's as if losing is antithetical to being American. We take yes as permission to go the extra mile, and we often take no as a challenge to overcome. If they don't have what we need, we'll make it from scratch, and if they don't know where it is, we'll go find it. And if they say it can't be done, then by God, we'll just do it to prove that it's doable. If a friend says they need something, the culture of America means that we will stop what we are doing and give them the shirt off our back. And if you mess with our friends, it's the same as if you mess with us. I believe that by and large, Americans love deeper, work harder, win more, and lose less than pretty much any country in the world. We may often be brash and sometimes off color, but we're good. And I mean good as in good at heart. There's nothing about America that is perfect, but pretty much everything about it is good. Carroll Shelby also once said, he said, if you're not winning, you're losing. Fair enough. Ford versus Ferrari. Epic flick about an epic race in an epic car built by an epic group of men, but it's also a story about the American spirit. And in my opinion, just sitting here in my vantage point, with thousands of you out there affirming it every day, I believe that the American spirit and faith and tradition, I believe it's all on the rise. We are so back.